Welcome to the Open Channel podcast, where we invite conscious conversation into the embodiment of unity and higher states of conscious awareness. I'm Shaunna Green.
And I'm Avalina, Maline. Welcome to this co-created space for people who want to connect and remember their core essence. We are so grateful to have you with us.
Yay.
Hey.
Welcome.
Yay. It's been a while that we've, since we've been able to connect together. With people being out of town and trips and things.
So much happening.
It's good to reconnect.
Yeah. It truly is what you make of everything at this time. The choice of how you want to be, how you want to live, how you see in the world. It's like, it's so, it's becoming more clear how you are choosing to witness things. It's such a choice, and it's just so beautiful that it's the opportunity is is easily available for everyone right now, just to step into joy, really.
Yeah, definitely. And so truly each moment seems to be an invitation into that choice, no matter what the moment is. You could be at the grocery store picking out fruit, but it's still an invitation as to how we choose to view that fruit. Is that fruit just an item that you put in your basket, or is this something from nature that is going to provide an interaction for you at some point when you decide to interact with it, or even in that moment of interacting with its fragrance, its color. There are choices even in little things like that.
Yeah, because that's not really how you step into the flow. It's like really noticing every little thing and following that, what it's showing you, because it's all there, and it's so easy to just to let the universe show you, even when you're in the midst of big decisions and chaos around you. It's just like you can really just find stillness and joy in those moments just as easy, if you're just present and paying attention to what's being shown to you and all those little details, and just following that flow of what feels right.
And that seems to be the path, is just feeling into what feels right, and that's the vehicle to the next moment.
How about you, Kiara? How is the flow working for you?
Well, astrologically, it's a huge event. So there's a conjunction of all the personal planets, excluding Mercury. So we have Venus and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, and so these opposite energies are coming together, and you can actually see them all with the naked eye. So depending on where you are, and if you're just figure out what time that's happening. So Venus, of course, is the brightest, and Jupiter. But then you can see Mars and barely see Saturn. So
Kiara, isn't there a shape that they're forming that's also kind of interesting? Isn't the shape kind of this slight arc, if I'm remembering correctly?
Yeah, something like, I haven't seen them myself yet.
I saw a picture of it.
A friend of mine was just expressing that she saw I saw the conjunction early this morning. And it was just, such a treat. And it's the eclipse coming up in a couple of days. Solar eclipse and full moon. So there's a whole conjunction of planetary energies. And it's also requiring something in us to be focused and brought together. So, the masculine, feminine aspects of our being, Venus and Mars, and then the ability to open and to close as appropriate, to integrate and to expand. So these are all functions of the psyche, which are all coming together in a way that makes it easier. And so let's see, which sign would they be in? I'll have to check my.
Did someone say Taurus? I was thinking Taurus. I'm guessing. I'm really not the authority on any of these things, but I thought I heard somebody say Taurus.
Could be. Well, the sun is in Taurus, and Venus is a morning star now. So that's possible.
Yeah. So what does that
Spirit
mean
would
for
come up
us
close to sunrise.
individually, this junction?
So Taurus would be, the connection with the body, with matter, with the earth, with nature. And all these planetary energies seek to unite within that field. So deeper groundedness, integration, sense of purpose, sense of being more present, finding a purpose, honoring nature, the physical body, honoring the earth, Earth Day, every day, every moment.
Yeah.
So it's like all those things, and gratitude to life for what it's serving us. We tend to, I tend to often create a false duality, spirit and matter, or heaven and earth. And what I think this is showing us, this conjunction, this double set of conjunctions, is that no, it's time to bring it all together. Spirit within matter, heaven upon earth. And this is the purpose we are here for, to demonstrate that and to deepen the experience of that. So the paradox, I think it's partly the paradox of being in human body with the limitations that we've been taught to experience as normal. And the paradox is that we're infinite consciousness at the same time. Ultimate creative force.
What a journey.
Taking in the deliciousness of that.
Yeah. And to think how we're all experiencing it so uniquely, it's just so magical.
Yeah, there's so much. I think there's a lot crumbling still out there that we're witnessing. I think there's a lot of, I don't know, both in the figurative and in the literal.
Yeah, it's because it's intense. So there's a lot of people are going to be sort of spinning out or, blowing circuits.
Yes.
Until they can really settle in. Because I'm definitely seeing both. Yeah. Right. It's there's a lot of different directions people are taking. And that's okay. It's just an experience, just remembering that it's not to take ourselves so seriously, and it's just one experience. That's it. We're so much
for you
bigger.
guys, in the United States, you're going through the Pluto return. And it's not limited to one country, because it's the melting pot of the whole planet on a certain level. So we're all facing the deepest shadows, and it's like a soul initiation. It's like, what's real, what's illusion, and recognizing that we are completing cycles that haven't been completed before. So whenever cycles are not complete, that's karma. And so the completion of cycles is what's happening now to resolve the whole field of karma and causality, as we dissolve past third dimensional reality and enter into a new dispensation of evolution or creation.
And it's also bringing quite a few people, it seems, into the United States. A lot of people are coming here from around the world. Lots of change. And
it's been the tradition, right? That's how things got started here.
And at the same time, it's like, what's the the illusion of the United States. There's this, it's the land of the brave, the home of the free, or whatever. And that's a huge illusion. And it's not real unless we take back our freedoms. Those freedoms have been stolen
Yeah.
It's not just Americans, because it's human civilization right now. The deep state is worldwide. But those things cannot be stolen unless we give our power to that, to that force. And we give up power because we don't understand who we are. We don't honor ourselves. We don't remember the truth of our divinity. So all of this, the Pluto return, is also about claiming our divinity. Pluto represents the soul. It's the tiniest of the planets. The soul is invisible to the eye, but that's what makes it, it's so powerful, beyond anything that anyone can imagine, if we can harness the power of that. So I think that's the challenge. That's our job right now. All the political, geopolitical stuff going on right now around the world, and particularly right now in the Ukraine. It's a mirror for what's going on everywhere else, the dance of the shadows. And it's time to wake up, and time to see past the illusion. It's time to overthrow the forces that have kept us in chains. So I think this eclipse is going to initiate something in that line also, because this eclipse is all these planets in Taurus, Sun in Taurus, Moon in its opposite, which would be what, Scorpio. So Scorpio is also intensity, and Scorpio is where Pluto is, Pluto rules Scorpio. And the intensity of emotion is the intensity of the soul. And so I think that's the initiation that we're going through on a planetary level now. I really see that this year, the next 2 years is like huge. We've said that all along. Everyone's been saying that every year. It's like, this is the time.
It just keeps getting,
we just keep intensifying it and bringing it up more levels of intensity.
Huger and huger, and deeper, and vaster and vaster, and grander.
More expansive, more dynamic, more.
So it's like Jupiter is the expansion, and Saturn is the focus. So you're expanding, but also, find your deepest identity, which you can expand around. Otherwise, you're just floating out in space, no use to anyone. The Earth, Saturn represents the grounding, the connection to the Earth, to our psyche, to our emotions, to our truth. And once we do that, the image that comes to me growing up in India is flying a kite. I don't know if you've ever seen people do that. So, you have these kites on a spool, and you unravel the spool and the kite soars, and then kids get along and have kite fights and see if they can bring down someone else's kite. And then it's like, so it's a whole game. But, the string is essential. Without the string, you can't soar. So even though the string feels limiting on a certain level, it's what allows the kite to soar. Without the string, when the string is cut, the kite just flounders. And I think that's what this whole conjunction, the double conjunction and the eclipse, is about. It's like, we're anchoring, we're grounding, and from that space, we're allowing ourselves to expand into infinity.
Such a beautiful analogy. When is the eclipse? It's this weekend?
I think
it's the 30th, right?
The 30th.
I think it's the 30th.
And what's on the aftermath of that, like for next month? I'm just curious how that that wave is gonna because we have the solstice coming up pretty soon. Interesting.
Month.
Month
and a half.
I think it's June 6th.
Yeah.
I think it's 6/6.
Yeah. I feel like this solstice is probably, I mean, we always, like you said, we always say this about every event, like, oh, this is, but this, the 2022 summer solstice, like if I could pick any one, like this would be the one that would be the most magnificent as far as energy shifting.
Yeah.
Or dramatic, maybe is another word.
Yeah, I think so. According to calendars and other things, I think we're headed for something very special that day.
Yeah. And leading up to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, those of us who are attuned to those frequencies might find this a time of great expansion and ease and openings. At the same time, to the extent that we're carrying heaviness and darkness, it's also a time for self-reflection. It's a time to drop down into the dark night of the soul, to remember, to deepen, to release. And, it's not an easy process.
No, once you step into it, it gets easier and easier. I find, I mean, just recently, I mean, I'm just noting such fine threads of entanglement still, and it's just becoming so clear, and it's just becoming like that clarity. And then once you're clear on something, it becomes so easy just to drop it with your intention. I find it so much easier now than, even a year ago to process and let go of all those densities.
So what's the webs of entanglement that you're dealing with, both of you?
For me, a lot of it is just stepping into that incredible flow of just super, super abundance, where, you're not limiting the possibilities of abundance in every aspect, whether it be where you live, your financial situation, friends. It's just becoming so clear in every choice that I make, where I'm limiting myself and allowing, why can't I have it all? Why should I not have it all? Right. And just seeing those patterns, the deep, deep ingrained patterns, they're all the way in our cells, they're ancestral of, not being able to have all the things we want, not be able to do the things we want, not be able to have the connections, the embodiment, like it's just so deep ingrained in us. So for me, I've been feeling a lot of that. And I've been just beginning signs everywhere, just showing up of, even like hearing somebody's comment about the state they're in and how they are when they're making a decision. It's like, wow, okay, I can see how that is so easy if I'm in the right flow and in the right mindset to allow for what I would normally consider impossible, or how can that possibly happen? And then accepting that, yeah, that can happen. All this is possible. It sounds so simple, but to me, it feels like this big, huge shift that I'm sort of in the midst of, which is so exciting.
It is. I'm delighted to hear that those are the energies that you're meeting in those moments.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. Like every time you see them, like, oh, look at that! Look how I was holding myself back there. It's so interesting. I get so excited now when I'm shown something.
It's an unpeeling.
Yeah, because there's just pure joy on the other side of it every time. So
So it's like, reminds me of a snake. When it peels off one layer of skin, it's an old skin that gets left behind, and then it has to nurture itself with the earth for a while, the rest. And then it's like this whole new skin is available, which is like, and then skin is the connection with the earth. Skin is the connection with the sky. Skin is your ability to hold yourself, in form.
Yeah.
And it also at the same time is the interconnectedness with everything around.
Yeah, and
So
it's just willing to release that skin,
yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, because the manifest, like the creation aspect that we're stepping into, it's happening so fast. Like all the work, like for years, like work that I've done, it's like I'm seeing a lot of things actually come to fruition, and it's all happening at the same time in every aspect, and it's incredible. To actually like see things happen that you've always knew were possible. So yeah,
So beautiful.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
Right.
for the journey I'm experiencing, the threads for my journey surround what it means to be of service to the highest good, because that's ultimately why we're here in this oneness state. And so as we have people around us who are asking for our service, what does it mean to be in service to the highest good? Is it sometimes of the highest good to say no to that service? And is it sometimes of the highest good to serve that? So it's sort of that place of how in the unity consciousness is the moment calling for my my energies. I guess that's the big question. I have there's a situation I've been dealing with in which I have been offered opportunity, and it's within a system that I haven't agreed with. And so I have come forward speaking my truth about the system, and have basically tried to leave it several times, basically saying, this is my truth and I don't agree with that, so bye. And the holders of the system come back with revised versions. And so it's crumbling. I'm witnessing crumbling there. I had this beautiful hike recently where I went out and happened to see this enormous vulture and these two ravens who were all interacting with one another. And it was, it was like they were staring at me too. They were, it was sort of like, this is, you're looking at this, dissolving, composting, this crumbling, this breaking down of what isn't needed here anymore. And so then the question is, what happens in its wake as the crumbling is happening? To what extent is my role in the evolution? Is my role in the evolution to just leave it, or is it to help reform the pieces as they've crumbled? And so I keep being presented with more opportunities. They keep coming back with, well, here, and each one is an opportunity for expansion of my service. So each of those revised versions is like, well, here, we'll offer you this and that. And so I'm sitting with, well, is it best evolutionarily to be of service by reforming this? And is it of the highest good that I expand in this way? Or is it of the highest good to let the system fall apart completely and leave it and just be sitting in the
Shaunna, you
empty
mentioned
space?
the seeing the vulture.
Yeah.
And the vulture is a scavenger.
Yeah.
And its purpose is to peck and break apart and to release and to, return to the earth. We tend to see death as something negative, but the scavenger role is simply to allow something that's dying, that's being released, to return to the earth. And so it's like the eagle and the vulture. They're two very different roles. The eagle is a predator. Vulture is a scavenger, and they both are birds of prey. But it's the eagle also is a symbol of rebirth. And the higher octave of the eagle is a phoenix. And so we're talking about Pluto, and that's also about rebirth. Yeah. So it's interesting, you know,
it is.
what you're experiencing, what both of you are experiencing. There's a level of clearing, letting go, releasing. Sometimes it feels joyful, sometimes it feels painful, depending on whether there's a surrendering to that release. But it's such a part of this time.
It is.
We can't avoid that.
No, we can't. And it was so interesting to see these birds, you know, these two ravens, these dark black ravens, and they were approaching this vulture and kind of bullying the vulture. Yeah. So they were hopping toward it, and the vulture would outstretch its wings like, you know, I'm bigger than you think I am. And yet, you know, it ultimately flew off. And so it was really, I don't know, I just kept allowing the energies of it to wash through, and I'm just surrendering to the process of whatever's meant to unfold, but definite crumbling and definite death of a way of being. It's just, you know, what's emerging.
Well, I honor your capacity to speak your truth, because it is definitely one, if just one of your amazing qualities.
Thank you.
And
I'm not making it comfortable for these people. I'm really not.
I know you, and I appreciate that quality of you, because you do embody that very well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that work related? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's something that so many people right now are looking at.
Yeah.
You know, does their job serve their purpose?
Yeah. And how does it feel? You know, how does it feel to be in that workspace that's crumbling and trying to repair it versus, you know, like being the eagle and allowing yourself to soar and create something of your own that may not be comfortable, but also may be exciting.
Well, it's the invitation to sort of do that within it. And that's why it's, you know, I'm just leaning into, again, whether the whole thing is meant to just fall apart, or if I'm meant to help in making it into something new that is, you know, the way a future version would be. So I just go where I'm called, but it's, you know, allowing what's meant to move through to do so.
Yeah.
So just allowing the unknown to be here.
Yeah.
And just sit with that and hold the highest light possible. So it's good though. It's all lovely. It's just all gratitude, and I know it's all unfolding as it's meant to. It's also the process of honoring the energy of the elements of that space. Just that there are that every version of what is moving through creation has had good intention. And that goes back to whatever forms first appeared on this planet, you know, from the beginning of time, that these were all experiments. We're all experiments. And that every consciousness body that we, you know, see on the planet, whether it's an organization or any kind of collective, that these are all experiments too. And that initially there was an intent that was from someplace useful. And so can we hold that in our hearts as the crumbling happens, as we help crumble whatever isn't needed?
It's our nature as to be experiential. You know, we're based to have our souls are, from my understanding, souls are, we're here to experience. We evolve through experience. You know, and that goes for all beings of other dimensions as well. Whereas like angels, you know, they're more functionary. They're the, you know, from angles of source. So it's so fascinating. Yeah. To allow that perspective to lighten the experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to hold all of it as sacred in the crumbling, that, you know, somewhere there was an intention of something that was meant to be of value, even if it's crumbling now and needs to.
Yeah. So much is happening on a scale that we're not able to see. We just really have to trust that it's all, you know, if we try to look from the higher perspective of ourselves, it all makes perfect sense, right? So yeah, just trusting and surrendering to what's happening.
Yeah. Yesterday I was I was doing an interview with Omar Faizi, and the theme was about timelines. And last time you were talking about the guardians of the looking glass and what that means, and all these possible scenarios, and the technology that exists to be able to look into the past or look into the future and shape different timelines. And, you know, I think to some extent, yes, it's true that we can on the third dimensional level with our collective choices and our intentions. And these technologies could be a part of that. But on another level, you know, it's not even about timelines so much as time itself. You know, one of the things that came up yesterday in our conversation was the realization that we imagine that we exist in time and space, right? The truth is that time and space exists within us.
Yes.
You know, so once we move out into infinite consciousness and the realization that we are the universe, we are everything, the one spirit that moves through all things also moves through us. There's no separation, it's one great big ocean. And we are that. Once we really understand that, then time and space actually become subservient to our inner realization. And at that point, we can actually direct and shape reality. Because we are all of that. There's no boundary between what's inside and what's outside, self and the other. There's no boundary between personal and universal. So at that point, we become the universe, we become infinite consciousness, and it's in its creative power to be able to shape the world around us. And then not impose, but infiltrate into outer realities in a way that we can carry the collective. It's not something many of us are able to understand or to cherish the power of that, really, because we have been conditioned to limitation for such a long time. And what does it mean to break past limitations? What does it mean to step out of time? What does it mean to remember who we truly are as infinite consciousness? I think those are the questions that we're asking ourselves now.
And certainly as we hold and remember that, it's like, how do we want to create what is unfolding? What creative structures are calling us? What kind of direction do we want to send the creative energies that are moving through us? And how does that flow as we are the instrument of that infinite consciousness?
It feels very individual, like as what we were saying about even with the planets now, it feels very individual right now of, you know, allowing ourselves to get to that point where we are embodying space and time within us and we are creating from that infinite space, is that inward journey of just letting go. And it feels like there's a lot of that happening. You know, it's a focus point inside of the on an individual level of allowing yourself to embody all of yourself and letting go of those limitations.
Yeah. We're just
How do you recognize when that's happening?
You have to stay in the witness. I mean, it's, I think if you're completely present and you take responsibility, like the ability to respond to your own self in acknowledging that you are the creator and you are you're witnessing the emotions you're feeling, the sensations you're feeling, the mental patterns you're feeling, the thoughts that are going through your head, and choosing and taking responsibility, owning those, and that they are all inside you, and that you are the creator of all of those things, and you created all those things out of love, whether it was to protect yourself from a situation or to have an experience of that. You know, some of us came in to have this experience of a certain polarity, that it's all happening within you. It's you are the source of it all. Mm-hmm. You are the source of the time continuum, you know, all of that. Yeah.
So two very different perspectives, being the source and being a victim.
Yeah.
Well,
and you can really tell the difference.
Yeah. Well, and also to remember to come back to the place of centeredness, that exercising that muscle of return to that locatedness helps in continuing holding what you were saying, Avalina, that perspective of witness. If we can allow those things to flow through and continue to come back as those things are moving through us to that place, the more familiar we make ourselves with that place of creatorship, of ownership, of responsibility, of groundedness, then it's, I think the flow of all those steps becomes more easeful. Do you find that, Kiara?
Yeah. And that's the journey, isn't it?
Yeah. We are on a wild ride, people. It is. It's so exciting.
Well, you know, both of you are speaking about trust.
Yeah.
And what is this wild ride? You know, I'm remembering the Hopi saying that we are being invited to step into the river. And we've been holding on to the shore because that's our safety. Because we don't want to let go. We don't want to surrender. We don't want to open to the great mystery because we don't know where it takes us. And what they invite us is to let go.
Yeah.
You know, let go of the banks.
Yeah, because the rapids are coming.
You may not know where the river is going, but the river knows where it's going. The river carries you inevitably to the great ocean. And yeah, the ride, it's going to be a ride. There's going to be rapids. There's going to be rocks. There's going to be, you know, beautiful landscapes along the way.
Yeah, because the more you let go, the easier the flow, right? It's like
yeah. So that calling to trust, and that calling to surrender to the great river. Because so often, you know, to mix metaphors a little bit, we're struggling against the river. You know, you're fighting the river.
Yeah.
The river is the Tao. It's that watercourse way that is the nature of the universe. You know, the Incas talk about this. There's nothing negative or positive. It's either flow or resisting the flow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so stepping into the river, we don't have to worry about what we experience, what happens, whether it's interpreted as negative or positive. It's surrendering to something vaster, greater, stronger, and more divinely attuned.
Yeah. And choosing, like we were saying, choosing how you're going to see that as negative or positive, because it's just the mind's interpretation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can we see all dimensions of what's moving through? Can we appreciate all the aspects of it and how it can be held by different perspectives and different views?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a gift.
So Shaunna, I know you have to leave.
I do. Yeah.
So maybe we could end this podcast for the
time,
for the week.
Just so appreciative of the energetic celebration that's been happening here in this space.
Yeah. And I feel like it's just opening it up to something new, like it's birthing into something greater. There's so much more potential here, I feel like, as we continue to meet, and maybe with some others as well to bring in, just discussing whatever needs to be brought through. I think is such a beautiful way to open up into that flow of losing an agenda,
Right. And for those watching this, and for both of you as well, tomorrow we're going to do a panel. I think there's 6 of us. So this entire week there's been one-on-one interviews with various people on that same theme, timelines, moving into the potential of who we are as divine humans. And so join us. So
yes, absolutely.
It's on, what's the YouTube channel? I think it's called Watchers Talk.
Okay.
Great.
Also, people can also find it Kathy Mason Marketing, and there's a whole list of videos. So so check it out.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
Kiara. We celebrate all that's getting to flow through your channel in this way.
Oh, likewise. Yeah.
So beautiful, dear ones. Sending all of you so much love and connection during these times of the flow.
Love it.
Happy eclipsing.
Yes,
happy eclipsing. I like that.
Full mooning.
I love it as a verb.
Happy mooning. That's awesome.
Much love, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.